today's topic is the Indian science and Dr. C.V. Raman. And the speaker is Dr. Yain Santosh Kannada. He was born in a remote village in Mandya district called Aralakuppe and born and brought up in Mysore only, obtained MSc, then MPhil, and he got his award, PhD award from Mysore University only. Entered the government service in 2011 as lecturer in botany, and his areas of researches are medicinal plants, pathology, evolution, environmental studies, real Indian history, and Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose published 5 research papers, 3 book chapters, proposed nearly 4 theories, and delivered more than 450 talks. And he has cleared some of the competitive exams like SET, entrance state level entrance test for the lecturers and assistant professor held in 2015, and he got um, PhD award he got PhD under the guidance of MK Mahesh, Dr. MK Mahesh of Department of Botany, Mysore University, and published many research papers. Among them, very important ones are bacterial blight in cotton seed quality, qualitative and quantitative analysis in phytochemicals of Cyprus corymbosus, antimicrobial and GCMS analysis of essential oils from Cyprus corymbosus, phytochemical and pharmacological explorations in Cyprus articulatus, and also he published books and he authored books in biotechnology for degree students and a Kavana Sankalna in Canada, Anda Chanda, attended many research programs, and he is one of the uh, leading what is known as resource person in biotechnology and microbial sciences. And he actually trains up many teachers, and he was awarded a good student award in MSc. And he is a very interesting person. Not only that, he is one of the great modern patriot of India, we can say. And today's uh, talk will be by Dr. Yain Santosh Kannada, and I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Slide share madla.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Shall we start?
Yes.
Okay, sir. We shall start.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for joining the webinar. Today we are going to share some of the aspects of Indian science and Sir C.V. Raman in general. We all know the National Science Day is celebrated on 28th of February, and this time's theme is Women in Science Catalyzing Vikasit Bharat. Like everyone should have the role to have the developed nation, and that is the case. And women in particular has been concentrated this particular year. To become a developed nation, we should always have in mind that how our science should be, or how our education should be, in what way it can be utilized. And if you understand only the historical aspect or the background aspects of the history or the science, then only we can think of our future. Like what are the experiments made today, even though it has been a failure, then based on that only we can have a good experiments tomorrow to have a better results. And therefore, I also always says Indian culture or Bharata culture is the only culture in the world which is built on scientific principle. And this is one theory I proposed in 2006, like I called it as a triangular theory of Bharata. It will tell how to understand the Indian principles, like it a ancient Indian principle, how it can be understood. Whether it should be aspect of one side, it would be only niti. What is the aspect of niti? It is for the betterment of the humanity. And another side, it is the science. What is the final goal of the science? Again, it is for the welfare of the humanity or every living organism. And therefore, both will, we want niti also and we want science also. And some aspects of our culture, it can be understood by only niti, it is concerned to other. In some aspect, it is concerned only to the science. In some aspect, it is only concerned with the humanity. In some aspects, it are concerned, if we put all three together, then only we can understand. One example is this use of the lemon or worship of the lemon in our culture. The lemon, we know, it is in early days during the travel, the variation of food and water is very common. During this, the vomiting sensation and dysentery is very common. For that, these lemon act as a electrolyte to regenerate the electrolyte and act as the first aid and remove and slow down the vomiting sensation. Therefore, the people start saying wherever you go, you take the lemon. And our people mind is so great that whatever the thing may be, if they do good for us, it will be regarded as the uh, god, and therefore it has been got to the level of the worship. And what later has been done, like if you they take the lemon, it will become good for you. Okay, that are all the exploitations. Patanjali gives a one beautiful analogy in his Patanjali Yoga Sutra. If you take a pond, if you want to see the pond, whatever the inside the pond, throw a stone, and then if you start observing the pond, you cannot see anything. Like if you want to see what is inside, you should not disturb the pond. Then you should get slowly enter into the pond and then get inside into the water, and then you should open your eyes and see what is there. This all four levels, if you cross, then only you can see what is there in the pond. And like this, whenever you want to have any education, you should cross the different levels. And that's why all level, when you think once the statement, you understand something. When you again see the same statement, you'll think, oh, earlier I thought false, now it is correct. Again, if you read same statement, when you saw something, then you'll think that, oh, first two times I think false, now it is right. And when some event happened to your own life and correlate what you saw, what you read, all these things, then you can understand, well, all three times I understood falsely, now I understood right. And this is the level of education that we can go deep into this subject. And that person only called as a true student. And the name of our country, Bharata, you know, our name, country has the different names. One of this name is the Bharata. Ba means Bhargava. Ra means Ratha. Ta means Tana. Bhargavaninda Nadasalpadva Tana Bharata. And this, what is the science speaks, earth revolves around the sun. Same. And it is same ditto. The science also speak like this. And there is no such a scientific name of the country in the world, I feel. And today, as the student of science, we are supposed to understand. If you want to understand, if you understand the problem, then only we can have the solution. And there is the unsatisfactory historiography of the India. One, it may be enforced history. Another is the evidence-based history that what the Dr. Raja Vedam calls. What are the who imposed the enforced history? Like today's NCRTs, our constitution, the government laws for the us, medias, movies, so many things are there. And whether it is true or not, we don't know. That's what you have to confirm by the evidences, and that you will call as the evidence-based history. Evidence-based history tells the history of the India is different, and what has been imposed now, we think it is different. The enforced history tells our country is a recent civilization. Evidence-based history tells it is an ancient civilization. Enforced history tells the Aryan migration has been taken place. These Aryans came from the central part of the Asia, and they will kick off the people to, and they will call as the Dravidians, and all these type of things. And Evidence-based history will say that nothing like that. Nobody has been came. Such things has never happened. There is no Aryan race or Dravidian race at all. All are indigenous Bharatiya people. Even the languages also, Indo-European and Dravidian language. It is only Bharatiya language is present. And knowledge system developed with the input of the Babylonian, Greece or European nation. That's what enforced history tells. Whereas evidence-based history says the common education system developed independently here. And enforced narrative says aggressive. Our nation, our people are aggressive, uncivilized, inhuman in philosophies, whereas evidence-based history say human, enlightened philosophies. And enforced narrative says the other civilization impact the Indian knowledge system, whereas Indian knowledge system impacted by our own civilization. That was this is the comparison, a small account given by the Dr. Roger Vedam. He also says the framework imposed on us during the alien rule, like the colonial rule, which made the distortion of the Indian history and our identity by the colonial mills, eccentric manner, missionaries, and social academics, which have been established now to distort our history or mislead us, and even the Marxists all together have the different ideologies have been introduced into our mind. The colonial scholars, missionaries, and eccentric scholars have been developed the theory like Aryan invention theory. Aryans is a race, and today is competing with the oppressed and oppressors. There is only one thing: one who downtrodden, another who make others downtrodden. You can see the Robert Caldwell is a person, the priest who has been formulated the Dravida. Dravida means the land which has the three sides of water. That's it. It is there is no such thing which has been correlated with the race, and that is the and this ideology has been introduced to create the misconception and convert us and loot the wealth of our country. And such is the cases. And even the leftist and socialist or modern socialistic ideas and Marxist academians, which after independence, the same British education which has been continued and maybe leads to such a misconception or inferiority complex in our country. Therefore, if you want something, if you think our father is always you don't know anything, you don't know you don't have education, we will always feel by learning just one point we'll feel you don't have anything, I have learned so much, you just keep quiet. That's what we will tell for our fathers. But if he is more educated than as more intelligent as, we will keep quiet. We will at least understand, we have to learn something from him. Even the genetics, there is no in Bharata like Aryan gene or races, all are even Dravidian, whatever, even Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, you cannot differentiate the genes of the Indians to anything. And you can just say Indians are Bharatiyas, which you can say. The framework imposed by the colonials, eccentric, missionaries, and socialistic, they have been Babylonian colonial. To have their what they said to prove that one they have imposed on us and show Indians as the primitive, backward, stagnant, superstitious, discriminatory, and even the superstition white Europeans, they are inferior to whites, and promote Christianity. And history forums the below the oppressor and oppressed. This is the upcoming or nowadays the whatever the word has been using, the oppressor, there is only two classes, oppressor and oppressed. And as a result, conflicts arises which has been misused by several people or the organization. And this picture by the Raja Vedam will tell how they mislead us. If you think mathematics and science, it comes from Greece. If you think Sanskrit, it has been given by Aryans. It is not of Indian. If you tell about the culture, architecture, music, civilization, it is from Turkey. It is science and technology, rational thought, they'll say it is come from the British. Astronomy come from the Babylon. Like this, they all credits have been given to the Westerners, and even our textbooks says the same thing. the great scholars, scientists, Dr. Dharmapal and Rajiv Malhotra now has been working on this particular how the Indian science and technology or Indian education system has been before the British rule in India. If you think which is the base of India, it is the Dharma. Dharma means what? Which is the Vedas. Vedas, we don't know what Vedas are. And he will say there are four Vedas: Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, Atharana Veda. Vedangas, there are six Vedangas, four Upavedas, four Upaveda, four Upangas. And there is 64 kalas. In earlier days, as we are speaking, if you want to become a king, you have to learn all 64 vidyas or kalas. Then only after that also you not make as a king. Use another final test has been keeping on the both hands. They kept the burning fire of the wood, and even in spite of that, you should not show any bad feelings in his face. He should be always smiling, and that if he has such a capacity, then he will be made as a king. Okay, the old kings like the Immodi Pulakesh is an excellent engineer. Harshavardhana, I will show you next forward, is the one who the expert chemist. He made the ice to cure the fever of his daughter, and that was the king how it was selected in India in earlier days. And these are the vidyas which has been recreated. What is the type of education that has been made in before British education? These are the 64 vidyas. How the common man, if you want to become a common man, he should learn at least 18 vidyas of this and become expert in two. But expert in one is nothing. Then only you will be making a common man. All this education was giving in the Gurukulas. There was 7.5 lakh Gurukulas which has been destroyed due to the Indian Education Act 1835 by the Britishers. And this was the thing. Even the common man become a common man. It was been education of the 12 to 15 years has been giving from 5 years to 12 to 15 years of education has been giving irrespective of all caste. That has been mentioned by the Dharmapal. To how the Indian science and technologies has been was there in India, the Rajiv Malhotra has been is funded its own money, and millions of rupees he has funded and bring out the volumes. These are the volumes of science and technology of India before the British and how it was working. That was mentioned by him. There is a one school. There is a like a Rajmundry school, Ballari school. Before these are the Gurukulas. They what are the textbook used? This is the survey made by the British itself, and they tabulated and mentioned the book. And this has been mentioned in the book called as Beautiful Tree, which has been documented by the Dharmapal. And like for the most commonly used books for the children's manufacturers, okay, and Lingaitas, lighter literatures, dictionaries, grammars. And you can see the British put heavy tax on 90 different types of industries in 1812. You can see here from the stone cutters till to the collectors of the drug and roots. There are, I just counted this one, there are 90 different types of people. What that means, these have the expert engineering knowledges or scientific knowledges which they can, which from A to Z they know. The Western industry, the owner is someone, okay, a beneficiary is someone, a manufacturer is someone. But in our India, it is not like industry from A to Z, from selling, from manufacture to selling, everything is known by that person who manufactures it. Therefore, the industry in India is different. Therefore, Indian industry, this knowledge has been taken by the British, and that is the base of the industrial revolution. And the one poet says this particular statement, that is Udayan Vajpayee. India is a civilization which is most misunderstood by its own people. Colonial scholarship for more than 150 years created an imaginary India which, though not really exist anywhere, was nevertheless forced to exist in the mind of urban English educated Indians. Though the education system which was put put in place by the colonial rulers. These so-called educated Indians have lived in one India, yet carried another different India in their mind, but this was not due to their own choice. It is a kind of precondition of their life. The paraphrase Iliad between the reality of India and its idea fell a big shadow of the modern Indian education. It did not allow the angelized Indians to come to terms of reality of the India. That's what he says. And in this background, we will say some of the scientific calculations, what has been made, and compare with the modern day calculation, what the present scientists do. We will say the different types of yuga, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dvapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. Each of this year, like 17 lakh years, 12 lakh years, 8 lakh years, and Kali Yuga is 4 lakh years. If you calculate and count this, it will approximately come, that is 43 lakh 20,000 years. And that is totally 4.32 billion years. And what we say in science is 4.6 billion. The life of the earth is 4.6 billion years of history. And if you take our name, as I told earlier, our name of the country, we have different, like Bharata Varsha, Anuja Varsha, likewise one name is Jambu Dweep also. When India was there in Jambu Dweepa, means it is completely surrounded by the water. When the India earlier, it has been attached to this African continent. That means central part of Africa means it is India too, is the central part of Africa. Therefore, human race has been existed in India too. And India, when it separates from Africa and drifted towards the north, this is what you'll call continental drift, which has been taken place 4 to 6 million years back. And then it is becomes the Bharatavarsha and civilization start here. Our many books says the Harappan Indian civilization is Harappan civilization, but Indian civilization goes back thousands of years back, that is Saraswati Valley civilization. During that period and during Harappan period, more than 200 years we got of the drought, and due to that the tributaries of Saraswati has been diverted and the entire river got extinct. This has been heat map with the help of satellite heat map. Now the track of Saraswati has been identified by the NASA itself. And we know the geological time scale, and the habitation in India is always present on the rivers and Saraswati and all over the India too. And there is the close relationship between the primitive man and the Bharata. Therefore, the ancient civilization of India is not only Indus but also Saraswati Valley civilization, with dates back hundreds of years back. And we also obtained several human fossil, primitive human fossil like Ramapithecus, Australopithecus, Narmada man, which is the closest relative. Dr. Michael Cremo, the American archaeologist, say they have been brought out one book called Forbidden Archaeology. In that they will say that according to Indian Puranas, the human fossils of 20 million years to, that is to 20 lakh years, 2.5 million years, 3 million years were obtained, but it does evidences has been effectively suppressed. That what the Dr. Michael Cremo will says. And this is the Narmada man, which is the most closest relative of the modern day man, taken from the Narmada river. And you know, Vedas is the base and deep, is the base of all deeds of us. It speaks from formation of the embryo, characters, weapons, water, medicine, and many on. And it also tells about the distribution of the human beings. And there is no area which is not worked by the Vedic Maharshis. And India will also use the writing lipi, and which is the base of the modern languages. And Sanskrit, we know, is the best suitable language for the computer decibels. And prediction of the human Indian studies and work compared with the modern studies. Like you can see here, Aryabhatta in his Aryabhatta says that the rotation of Earth on its own axis will take 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4.1 seconds. With all modern instruments, technologies, and everything, today we are saying how many time or what is the thing is 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4.019 seconds. It is 0.1 second is the difference. 0.1 second is the difference than our compared to our study and the modern study. The Sayanacharya of Vijayanagar, who was working in the Bukkaraya's rule, he calculate what is the speed of light. He will say that it is 1,85,060 miles per second. Our with all the great instruments and satellite, now we are telling that it is speed of light is 1,86,000 miles per second. The difference is just 1,000 miles per second. This is the accuracy that we have been known. And you know this engineering marvel. This is the special temple built by the Kannadigas Rashtrakutas. That means they are not built, they had digged and removed the stones, and multi-layer temple has been built. And now also they are not able to understand what is the technology has been used. Therefore, this is not built by the human. You start saying this one. This engine, this is an example of perfections. And you know, this is the carving on the pillars like a lathe of modern machines in seen in the Halebedu. And this is the Brihadeshwara temple of the Tamil Nadu, where the 80 tons of rock have been kept on the top of the earth. Even in spite of it is not falling down. And that is the perfection that has been made. To draw this, the iron pulleys and elephants has been used from several miles away. And pulley development is also one of the greatest scientific inventions also. And you know, this is the Konark temple, the sun temple, again built by the Gangas, and 1250 CE. And this the entire temple, he explains the principles of light, what is the cell, and the entire scientific principle is been explained in this particular temple. It is like studying the science book. And another marvel is Sangeeta pillars, musical stones of Hampi. And we all know the British tried to identify what is the technical, taken out the cut the stone and try to identify what is the whether they made hollow or not. Still they have not able to identify what is the technology. That is the perfections. And Indians contribution to astronomy and numbers, the names like the numbers found in the Rig Vedas, like the in Shukla Yajurveda mentions about up to 10 to the power of 12. We have the all perfection name for each of that particular names. And the Atharva Veda emphasizes on the common relationship between 1 and 10, like 30 and 3 and 30. And like that, the Vedic age has got the gasp of basic decimals, that is what you will call today as the positive integers. And another scientific living in the world, there is a three evidence which you want to call it as ancient. One is archaeological evidence, another one literature evidence, another one is the living evidence. And this, our Deepavali is a living evidence. Thousands of years, how our scientist has been, Marxist has been formulated, still we are following as it is. And if you take the Earth as the point of reference and try to observe the planets rotating around the sun, the 9 planets of the solar system and 12 celestials of the outer space referred to the planetary positions are computed, and especially sun's position with reference to the 12 constellations at the regions of the which we are referred to as the 12 months. And Deepavali will always come whenever there is a closing of the rainy season and beginning of the winter season. The 5 days, the first day is the mark of respect for the birth of Dhanvantari. Dhanvantari, you know, we all worship him as the father of medicine or biology. And second day is the mark of death of Narakasura, the Rakshasa or the bad feeling of us. And third day, it will during the churning of the ocean, we know the Lakshmi has been born, which will celebrate the birth of the Lakshmi. In fourth day, celebrated birth of the Shri Krishna. In fifth day, it is celebrated as the between the brotherhood of the brothers and sisters. and it is scientific and needed. These feeling are needed. That's what I say. Some is it is for feeling, some is for science, and some is for humanity. We can see the triangular theory here, which perfectly coincides. And India's enumerations or counting objects like the numerals, arithmetic additions, like in Rig Veda, the number power to the, which I told, 10 to the power of 12, which are the part of Vedangas. In it has been mathematics has been applied to the architecture, like the geometry, rectangle, triangle, circles, which in Bodhayana Sulabha Sutras. Commercial, it has been applied like arithmetic, algebra, solving equation, Bakshali mainstream. In modeling, Surya Siddhanta and R.A. Bhatia will give the excellent detailed explanation. In modern modeling like the functions of approximation, properties, polynomial series, that are all explained in the Hemachandra, Pingala, Madhava, okay, Yukti Bhasha, and even the Srinivas Ramanujam too. The Harappan civilization, as we know, it dates back to 3500 BCE to 1700 BCE, whereas the Aryan invention, what mentioned is 1500 CE, BCE. And here there are different types of bricks and scales which have been perfectly well planned. City has been invented. In that, we have also got the several scales, where, like in Mohenjo-daro, there is a scale called as the Mekali, which has been discovered as the broken scale for the measurement, and Luthal ivory scale, terracotta scale. These are all obtained from the archaeological excavation. And we are all well know the Luthal port, which has been established the contact with the Africa and the European countries by the sea trade. And several during this sea trade, our manuscript has been translated to the Arabic world as well as the European world, like Latin, Greece, and everything has been translated. Now we have got all type of evidences. And different civilization, when you come to the place value of arithmetic, the Babylons don't have as only place value but no zero. Egyptian, no place value system or no zero. Greece, no place value system and no zero. Chinese, earlier they don't have, now they have modern place value and zero. And India has the only thing which has both place value as well as zero. And Pingala, the algebraic logic has been given by him, used for the construction of the languages. Polyny. And Pingala mentions about the roots of the combinators. Meru, mantra Meru, recursive algebraic, and finds the coefficients like 10 a plus b to the power of 10. And Jain literature like Kalpa, Bhagavati Sutra, they all discusses on the infinities, rules of the indices, use of the first algebraic permutation combination. And Kautilya Arthashastra uses the mathematics, that is commercial mathematics, for the calculation of the tax, interest, accounting, and many other cases. We have another great study, or the Vaishashika Sutra. Kanada's Vaishashika Sutra. Earlier it was been told that it has been just 600 BC. Now the Dr. Rajaveda has been given, it has been telling that it is 1800 BCE. It will throw excellent light on physical optics, mechanics, hydraulics, electricity, heat, and also light. And some things it will tell the light composes of different types of colors, different the white light consists of color. That was, this darkness is non-existence of every trace of light possessing developed appreciable colors. That's what it will say. And it has been copied by the Arabic world, the Arabic scientists, as the scientists worked on the optics. The Arabs were schooled on the Indian text, on the mathematics, science, astronomy, medicine, and more via the translation of the Sanskrit in 711 CE. And that's what this says. And it will also say the thing which cannot be divisible is called Anu, which we call today as the atom. And it also tells about Abhava Prabhava, that is antimatter too. And Indians has been also documented about the lens and spectacle. Sri Vyasa Tirtha, who is lived during the period of Sri Krishna Devaraya, while reading a textbook which has been written newly in the court of the Krishna Devaraya, he uses the spectacles. That was these mentions. And here, one research paper has been produced on account of that, mentioning that. Okay, our reference of the spectacles in the Hindu literatures has been seen. Vyasatirtha Swamis, written in the Sanskrit contemporary by the poet called Somanatha Kavi, 74-year-old Vyasarayas, using the spectacle to read out the book in 1520 AD to the King Krishna Devaraya. That has been seen and documented. And some people will say that it is a Portuguese invention. It is invention of Italy through Portuguese. It come to the Vyasarayas as Vartathisa Swamis. But another person will also mention that one person called as Devanarayana, who has been gone to the Ceylon to build the monument, Buddhist monument in the Vijayanagara style, he made that spectacle, and through that it been come to this, and he is a person from the Vijayanagara kingdom itself. And in 13th-14th century, the spectacles has been used, and several people has been mentioned that particular. And we has been using several instruments which would watch the skies, taking from Harappan, Aryabhatiya, Varahamira, Brahmagupta. These are all the different names of different instruments that have been used by us. And one instrument like the ivory tube has been gifted from princess to prince, which contains the glass, and they are saying that if you see through this, you will see which cannot be seen. And as a evidence, the Dharmapal mentions the British collection, like a British one person, the Frères, the Royal mentions in the Royal Society of the London. Royal Society of London's about the Jupiter shows the four dancing girl, and the astronomical aspects of the Jupiter, Saturn's, and many other planets, which have been telling correct even today. In Ramayana also, the glass makers has been mentioned as the Kachakara. And Shushutan Charaka Samhita mentioned glasswares were best to preserve the medicine, and clear differentiation is made between Kacha and Saptika. That means the quartz crystal has been made in the same textbook. And we are well advanced in manufacturing iron. And that is, we are all know the rustless iron pillar of Delhi, and even the Kolachadri. The Major James Franklin is a Bengal army officer in 1829. He will tell in his publication that he learned and written paper about manufacturing of iron in central India. And his own words like this: an opportunity offered by the government of the Bengal in 1828 and 29, having enabled me to examine several iron mines in the central part of the India and make the experiments on the Indian mode of manufacturing iron. I beg to offer the result of the observation to the humble court of the directors of the East India Company. I desire more particularly to draw attention to the process of smelting and decarbonization is performed, and these mines were situated in the districts of Jabalpur, Baragon, and Pahana, and Kotala, Sagar, and many other. And the bed, if a great central channel which intersects the heart of the India and these localities. And it also said that this iron smelter, the furnace which has been used, it is portable, which can be carried by the bullock cart. That is the small thing and great thing of this Indian iron smeltering. And it concludes that the quality and the crude metals melted in the four furnaces, they can produce 2.25 million tons of iron per week, and 10 times superior quality of the England. And the Indian forge were able to make the crude metal for 2 pounds, that is cent shillings, and good malleable can be produced just 5 pounds. And it is moreover susceptible to for important, it is requires little outlay. It is portable, what I told, and transported from place to place, and implements being only thing necessary for to carry. And erect the place which combine the advantages of the proximity of availability of the ore and fuel and other furnaces and large supply of the water. You can take it to there only, and also avoid the excessive pollution whatever during the process. And this how it was been prepared, and the employment of so simple and forge in England would be ridiculous. They startingly ridiculed, but considering the instruments adapted and existed in condition of the country where it is used, it assumes a different character, such as the cheapness of the labor, fuel, and I question whether any of the other furnace would be compete with this. He is asking for the England people if they cannot compete, and if the improvements can be made by the made in this capable of work in, you can work this in large scale in arsenal military equipment and materials of the bridges and other heavy work. That's what he was saying. And India manufacture the production of 500 kg of rustless steel every day, and which was the world was ready to pay the gold and diamonds for it. And our way of selling is first we will utilize, after our utilization then only we will give sell the remainings to the others. And there's a great antiquity of the metallurgical knowledge. The iron is saying in the Veda, Rig Veda, as ayas, and that means today we will call it as iron. Okay, ayaso na dharmaha, which explained in the Sayanacharyas, and show the iron swords or javelins, showers of iron swords or javelin. Thus, iron and its weapon was well known in the Rig Vedic period, and most prolific mention of iron as ayas in mentioned in Atharva Veda. Kautilya Arthashastra mention about the iron ores and minings too. In one book called as Rasavarnam, appeared to be around 1800 CE, discusses about the usage of various furnace ovens and crucibles and different types of for the different types of purposes. It describes the method of metals would be identified by the flaming color, the type of flame color which comes based on that they can identify the metal color. It also describes the manufacture of gunpowder. Today some people will tell is of foreign origin, and for over 7,000 years India had high traditions of metallurgical skills. Two important sources of this history is Indian metallurgy and archaeological excavation and literary evidence. We have all types, and most evidences come from the Mehergar in Balochistan. As a small piece of copper bed has been dated back to 6,000 years. If people come from the Central Africa, then how this highly technological material obtained in this country? It is nowhere. And this is the excellent archaeological evidence. And excavation during the Harappan, the smiths or the coppers has been obtained, and from the Aravali Hills, Balochistan, and the behind too. And this Calolithic era about 4,000 year, tin or bronze age of 3,000 year, iron ages of the 3,000 years, and demonstrate the technology to achieve the highly keen temperature. We are able to achieve high degree temperature, 1084 degrees Celsius, to smelt the copper, which has been achieved. We have got expertise in this during the Harappan period itself. And iron smelt at 1586 degrees centigrade. We have achieved that excellency in reaching such a temperature. And likewise, the radiocarbon dating of the artifacts will say that it is 1800 BCE. The Roman historians name the Quintus records that one of the gift of the Pururava, which will called Porus, we will defeat, who fight with the Alexander. He gave about 2.5 tons of wood steel, hook steel to this Alexander. And great auspicious gunpowder factory was being constructed and sparring 20 acres in the land of the Nagara and Kundapura, the main road, which has been produced important gunpowder, which is called as the black powder during the periods of Vijayanagar, and needed for the firearms, matchlock, and which has been produced very important gunpowder needed for the firearms, and that is the in Keladi Nayakas, which is the subordinates of the or they will come under the Vijayanagara Empire. And lastly, what has the tragedy has happened is the remains of the factory has been destroyed by the jelly crusher. The unit has been set in the place where the gunpowder factory, which has been the museum, that has been destroyed by the jelly crusher. The great work of Ajay Kumar Sharma, last year they produced the book called as Akasha Bana, the history of the metal cased rockets. The rockets, what have been used. In 2002, hundreds of metal cased shells unearthed while cleaning the old well in Bidunuru. And in Vasanagar Taluk, Shivamogga district of Karnataka. Bidunur was an ancient capital of Keladi Nayakas, who comes 500 to 700, 1763. And the part of the great Karnataka, the part of the Vijayanagara Empire. It is also in 2010, Sri Siddhan Gondur, he is an archaeological person. He first recognized the metal shells to be the part of the Indian war rockets. He was to recognize it, and which smelted the with dismantles the Tipu used. Tipu is the originator or the formulator of these rockets. That was the misconceptions of the Britishers or the Christian biases. He is the pioneer that was been dismantled by this new identification, and he is not a contributor of the metal cased rocket because it dates back further. And after the discovery of the large shells, the metallic shells in Bidunur, it also dates back to period of Krishna Deva Raya of Vijayanagar in Bisu. It was called as Birusu Bana, and during the Dasara festival, it was been used. It was been able to go 3 to 5 miles and burst. And there are a lot of different types of Bana also: Birusu Bana, Agni Bana, Akasha Bana, and you have different types of 9 different type of metal cased rockets. And these Banas were used even by the Mughals, Marathas, and many others. And these are all the site which we got that metal, particular metals. And this metal, the binding, they binded the bamboo leather strip, and thin metal which has been used, it is carbon content is 0.29% to 0.33%. Very low carbon, which is achieving even today is very difficult. All are very well preserved without any rust. Okay, and in British Museum, we can see, and even today, they have been acquired from the Tipu Sultan's war of the Fourth War, Anglo-Indian War. But in spite of that, even today it is working, and in the British Museum they are available. Yeah, how Hyder Ali got this means from Bidunuru. He called one person called Venkamanya. He is the commander of Hyder Ali, who was expert in making this Akasha Bana, and from the Bidunur, and prepare and taught for him the metal cased rocket, how to manufacture it, and during the Anglo-Mysore wars it was used, and Britishers saw them and put it as a Tipu is the inventor, and they taken away all these rockets and used it against the French and other for it later. And another great gift of the India is Ayurveda, which will tell about the Panchabhutas and the Tridoshas, and mention about the how to cope up with our body. They could also mention the composers of tissues, tissue fluids, fat, blood, bones, bone marrow, and the muscle and reproductivity and waste substance, and all this has been mentioned in this Ayurvedic text. And the one British ambassador in Turkey once comes to India, and their children have been inoculated for the smallpox, and then after she going back to their country, advises everyone to get inoculated in 1720 AD. Okay. You can see this one. Till then, there is a one play song for the children, like Ringa Ringa Rosa, Pocket Full of Oza, all the children will round and fall down. And that is the situation of medicine in Europe. Dr. Oliver is the great respected doctor in the Western, and he account for the diseases in the Bengal. In February 10th, 1731, he documented about the treating and learning to the vaccinate for the smallpox. And operations were inoculation, we call the tika lagana. And he says he learned from the physicians of the Champanagar, the small town by the side of the Ganges, about of the way of Kasim Bazaar. And he follows one account of operation of inoculation of the smallpox as performed here in the Bengal and taken from the concerning account of several Brahmanas and physicians of this part of India. And after that several research papers has been published about this, how they've been inoculation has been traveled from India to Europe by the European itself, like 1767 one paper, and another paper in 1890s, another paper in 1927, in 1902 and 1802 and 1885, 1865, the British made strict law that they should not practice this particular inoculation. They made ban so for this selfishness. And in Mehergar, they got one fossil of human teeth, and which has been decaying. There has been treatment like borrowing and treating the decaying of the teeth. And when they identified that it is 9,000-year-old, and this is most advanced technique which has been even still today it is been using as same ditto without any changes, and that was been identified by the Dr. Roger Vedam. And we also got the fossils of the artificial eyes. And this is the one particular hospital of 100 bed obtained. This was been identified in Chandigarh. It is in 6th century, that is Chalukya kingdom period. And here you can see there is a separate highly like a what we will call the highly specialized and clean hospital and different types of instrument as mentioned in Charaka Samhita. You can see the bone. Inside the bone there is a iron rod. And this is an what even today we will use say as it is same. And this is the advanced medical that has been practicing in India. That's what this says. And Charaka Sushruta Samhita, it tells about the origin of the Ayurveda, medical education, like one has to have 77 years of practice, and what type of characters they should, that also it will be pursued, and performs explanation, surgical instrument, seasonal and influences of the health and medicine, surgical appliances, surgical instruments, training for the surgeries, and qualification, what type of qualification should be. The Ayurveda cells classifies the chikitsa into eight particular case like this. Shalya chikitsa, the methods and procedure, okay. Shakya chikitsa, and throat, nose and other cases. Like this we classified this. And this is rhinoplasty, whereas the forehead, the skin will be removed and the pasted on this nose. And today what we'll call it as rhinoplasty or the plastic surgery. And what are the qualification that will inducted on this to become a doctor, what type of character, all will be insisted. And these are all the fossil equipments of the medical equipments obtained from the Takshashila, which are 600 BCE old. And they have made even neurosurgery in the brain, and if any for nematodes or any other case. And the Sushruta Samhita always also advocates the public health practices. You know, the great statement of medicine, that is prevention is better than cure, and that is the great statement of Sushruta Samhita. And Charaka Samhita will also tell of the heart circulations, and Ashtanga Hridaya and Ashtanga Sangraha will always be part of Indian system or Indian health. And we have also contributed to the agriculture. The Alexander Walker in 1920 mentions this. Our equipments is very inferior compared to that of the Indians. We don't have anything that we can give the Indians as a food. If we want to give some fruits and vegetables, that too our fruits and vegetables are very, very sour. We have variety of foods and foods that can be that has been used in India. That's what she is telling. And drilling flows very excellent and specialized. If you want to remove the weeds, a specialized thing for the that type of equipments are there. That's what he is saying. And it has been during the British rule, before they have been calculated. The Chagalpattu is a small village in the Tamil Nadu. They are producing 5 to 6 tons of rice per hectare. And it is said that 3 lakh rice varieties are present. We lost 2.5 lakh varieties of rice. And another engineering marvel, Hampi, the 67 miles of water channel has been carried through the air. Then this is the constructed by the Bukkaraya. And during the water when coming through on the way, on the way itself, it will be filtered and pure water will be collected in the tanks, which will be well preserved. And then the ice has been told, they learned, the Robert Baker learned how to make ice in 1775 in Allahabad, Modgali, and Metagi and the Calcutta, where there is no snowfall or the formation of naturally. And such a, because this is mentioned in Harshavardhana Charitam, where when Harshavardhana daughter got fever, he formulated the ice that was been mentioned in Harshavardhana Charitam. And mortar and pestle, this is another excellent knowledge. And manufacturing of Hindustan paper from this particular plant, they learnt and published in 1774. And Rig Veda mentioned about the ships. And today, in 2021, there is a one particular group of people in Tamil Nadu, and this person has been reformulated the shipbuilding before how it was been constructed before 1800. For that, the government has been honored him. And this is the second one is the Vasco da Gama's boat, and these are the merchants boats, which is 10 times more bigger. The data has been given by them only. And Bengal boats were still very, very big. In biology, we would tell it is still the contribution is very, very, very great. 1 pond equal to 10 wells, 1 lake is equal to 10 pond, 1 child equal to 10 lakh, and 1 tree is equal to 10 children. And the Maharshi Parasara explained detailedly, divide the plant kingdom into Ekadala and Dvidala, dicotyledons and monocotyledons, and several contributions has been given. Therefore, and the Rukshayur Veda has been divided into 12 chapters, taking from the soil types and until towards the importance of mentioning importance of trees for the humanity. This book will tell. Therefore, we can mention that the real father of botany is the Maharshi Parasara. The ascent of sap, it is mentioned in the Shanti Parva of the Mahabharata, where the Maharshi Bharadwaj explaining the Maharshi Parasara about how the plants will uptake, and therefore we'll call it as a Bharadwaj theory of ascent of sap. And even based on the what type of trees, we can also detect the underground water. That was the Varaha Mira. Growth Samhita, he mentions it. And Dr. Rajavedam says the Indic knowledge are transferred to the Arabic and Greek and Roman world and to the Europeans and come back to the India. And these are all different type of evidence in in which time they translated our textbook. And even you can see here this. Madhava, Nilakanta work has been translated, and that is the base for the George and Newton. And there is one monastery for translating the Indic work itself, and that was been mentioned or identified today. And the British has been the extensive rules and illegal activity has been made to destroy the Indian science and Indian education. Indians looting and of Indian education, wealth and knowledge, technologies is the base for the industrial revolution of the England. That was the Europeans or the scholars has been accepted today, and these are all different type of evidences which has been given. The great scientist Dharmapal has been given, the Aryan migration theory, the false Dravidian identity, Indian Education Act, Indian Tolls Act, Indian Police Act, Weapon Prohibition Act, Indian Forest Act is not for the protection of forest. It is to stop the use of forest by the Indian caste. Sense what will casta? It is the Portuguese word. The caste itself you are not that 45,000 laws were there. And in spite of that, the great scientists like Vishwesvaraya, Jagdish Chandra Bose, Srinivas Ramanujam, they showed what the Indian knowledge is to the world. And Mahendralal Sarkar has been established the center itself for the development of science in 1876 itself. And Ratan Tata has established the Education Institute, which we will call today the Indian Institute of Science. Lal Hardayal provides the scholarship for the education. And such a case, the another great scientist who has been very interesting personality is Sir C.V. Raman. Sir C.V. Raman is is very came from the Orthodox family, and he has been he never bother for any person. Some interesting facts you can see with the relationship with the Nehru. When Nehru is going in a car with C.V. Raman, he is flying his hand to the people and sit down. And C.V. Raman will ask him, "This only this is enough to make you happy. You don't have any worries about the country. You are not able to develop this science properly." And he asked him, "Give me just 10 lakh rupees, and within 5 years, I will solve the entire industrial problem without any fear to any person he is able to counter it." And he will reject the offer of the presidentship. That is the very interesting personalities of this C.V. Raman. And this is his family, his birthplace. And he born in 1801, just 1 year after the Srinivasa Ramanujam. And he is a very voracious readers, and this is brothers and sister, is very good relationship with his grandmother, and he is always a voracious reader. Before the schools start, he learned everything, like Radhakrishnan algebra, Bayer's geometry, Stevens the trigonometry, and learned all the literatures, and wanted always quest for the new books. And the three books influenced his life: Light on Asia, Elements of Lucid, Essentials of Tone, which has made him influenced on the great research of him. And in his MS, he has a very close relationship with his grandmother. His grandmother, when reading the Light of Asia, he is influenced by him and tells his grandmother that if you want to achieve anything, you have to sacrifice. Then his grandmother got fear and tells the example of the Ramakrishna Paramahamsa that water should be out of boat, or boat should be inside the water, and water should not be inside the boat. That's what it said. Therefore, it should be in the family. That's what she says. And he is a first rank holder of the MA in physics. He got only 1 day, and he was always the topper. During that, he published two research papers, two research and diffractions of the light. And by when his grandmother saw it, he will tell, "There is no picture at all in your research paper." And he will tell, he will share that to the entire world will listen for you tomorrow, and you are become a great person. And the Lord Rayleigh, which later he opposes this principle, he call him as a Professor Raman by seeing the two papers which has published in students' life. And his brother want him to be an officer because his father has made severe loan, and you should not go to the professor or the research field. That's what he says. And he want to get married, and his father want to make him to be married. During that, his one friend was there by name Shivan, and while he was not there, he got to his home, and during that, this girl was singing a song, Raman Samana Tyagaraja Kirtana was being seen. By listening for the tone, he start coming back. Okay, I will marry her only. Okay, that is love at first listen. And go and tell his brother, I'll marry her. And his brother is, what is the, why so urgent? You only told, now we have to go for the financial service. Therefore, what is your problem? That's what he said. This should be decided by elders. Okay, I have decided. You go and talk with the elder. That's what his reply is. And then you'll clear the exam in the high rank and ask and become accountant general in the Calcutta and fly to the Calcutta. And during that, his father will present a piano. And that piano for his brother, he was very happy that he can play, and Raman was very happy that he can make research on this, how the boss will go and all this particular thing. And when he was officer, he was going in a tram, he suddenly accidentally saw a board of Indian Association of Cultivation of Science, okay, and jumped out of the tram and go there and saw a big hall with lot of equipments, and he'll become very happy. And in the next day, you'll go, this handler were the Amrutlal Sarkar. the son of the Mahendra Lal Sarkar. He said, I have such a research paper, I'm interested in, I'm working here. I want a permission for work here. He'll become very happy and come and hug him. And I'm waiting for you like this. And Mahendra Lal Sarkar, during his death, he was very, very frustrated. No one able to use my lab. Okay, that's what. And that was been successful during the time of the son. That is by the Raman. And in early morning, you will go there, and by 9:45, come back to home and have the tiffin and go back to the office. And by 6 p.m., again back to the association and work till night. And that one as a financial officer, another in the as a researcher. He has a excellent work done on the musical instrument. Once you go for a church, and how the Western instrument working, start listening for it. The cooking person what got with his family, came with family from this Chennai, will tell they might be converted, therefore they are listening for the Christian organs. I have not seen such a Brahmin. There may be false Brahmin like that, and go that night itself. And such a very, very interesting personality of the Raman, and compared with the Indian instruments, that has been compared by them. And meantime, he'll gone transferred to Rangoon, during which in such a place also, without where there is no supply of any equipment, he construct lab in his home itself and publish it to research paper, and want to work on Halley's comet, which was coming and which was reported in the America and South Africa and all that. But he was very frustrated during the time. His father will expire, and he will put a long leave and come to the Presidency College and start working on the Halley's comet and other. During which the paper published attracted by the German scientist and been invented, and that has been in later part has been helpful for him in the award of the Sir C.V. Raman. And after that, but Halley's comet will miss by 322 kilometers in spite of working. Then he will transfer to Nagpur, where the plague problem will come, and during there also he will identify a small college which there has a laboratory equipment, and ask the permission and make home beside the college itself, so that wife would not become hanger of the absence, and publish two papers there also. Then he'll shift again back to the Calcutta, where the marvelous work has been historical work has been conducted, the experiments on light. And the Calcutta University offer him a fellowship for to become a professor. This officer post is a very, very high salary one. He will come to the low salary one because he is interested in teaching. In 2013 and 12 itself, he will also got the research awards by the well-known research institute also, and that is the character of this Raman. And he opened the Indian Journal of Physics in the association ISEA also, and everyone needs him. And there was a one rule that if you want to become a professor in the university college, you have to have a foreign experience. But Raman is always, he will tell, if you go to foreign, you will go only for the evaluation, not for the learning. That's what he'll say. We don't want your any professorship. Then the university changed its rule itself. We need Raman, not any foreign experience, and he will appoint him as a professor. And for that, he will come back. The salary was less by 60% than what he was getting. In spite of that also, he always paid the mind for research, and he will publish 25 research papers, and he will also become the astronomical society member and work on these comets, planets and other cases. And like this, his work will go rigorously. And Raman always have one theory that if you want to identify anything, all mysteries are present in nature. If you ask the right question to nature, then only nature will tell what. If you want to understand what is the right question that you ask, you should observe the nature, then only you understand what is the right question. And then if nature reveals the question, only thing is you experiment to verify it and give back to this is true. And this is the scientific principle. This is how the Raman and Ramanujan both are getting always inspiration from the nature and nature. And this is with his students. If you want to tell overall outlook of the Raman, like in his publication, 486 publication in lifetime he made. In this, 138 in single author, 324 in with his students, co-author, and with students published is 1,500. And if you want totally 1,965 research paper and published. If you take only this about this 465, if you want to take two papers 2 months, but you would have been start writing paper from 5 years when he was in 5 years. When you come to the Mysore convocation, it stresses on the research should be self-interested and no import should be made for the equipments, and our craftsmen, that is, who have the skill, should be supported. That what is what we call today the self-reliance, and that was been trusted by the Raman. And it research paper has been accumulated in 6 volumes of books. And this is the students he working. He in 1920s, the university vice chancellor asked him to go to the England for the conference. During that, he'll start voyage to the England, and while coming back from the conference and take a 4 months and observe the have a tour there, whispering gallery he will go. There also he will where the sound will reflect repeated once again and once again, but he will write a research paper there itself and publish in the nature. And such a you never sit empty. And he walk with the Rutherford, and when walking with the Rutherford, some students are playing football, and he tell your students are just playing, not reading at all, not working. And Rutherford will tell, we don't make bookworms, we make one who govern. Then by the time he has not given importance for health, after coming back, you tell his wife, I want to have walk every day. And while coming back, the great work, we always have a spectrophotometer prism with him. He observed the blueness of this Mediterranean Sea, and what Raleigh says is it a reflection of the sky. But Raman opposes it not a reflection of the sky. He made the experiment on the ship itself. After coming back to the Bombay port, you will write the paper on the Bombay port only, and then go to the post office and post it, and then come back and work again, which become a marvelous work of 7 to 8 years, which has given him Nobel Prize. That is the Raman effect, which we will call. This is I'll explain with a very, very simple analogy, like a bowler when they bowl the ball. That was the explain given by the Raman also when he was going and teaching about the Raman effect in a small village. Like when bowler throw the ball, it has some speed. When batter bat the ball, it has some other speed. And like that, the molecules of the liquid will hit the light, and this is energizer. Till that, in 1928, Nobel Prize will get that. You will tell the particle will gain the energy and lose the energy. For that, 1928 Nobel Prize will get. But Raman will prove that the particle not only lose the energy, but also gain the energy, and energize and wavelength will get increases. And that's what he'll tell, for which we got the Nobel Prize. But the things always celestial organization always, and there is a Bengal nationalism, and then the some peoples are very happy, some people were very, very, very unhappy, and that is Meganath Saha and Sham Prasad Mukherjee. They start troubling him and tell he will going to leave and go for the Bangalore for Indian. By the time the director was returning in the Indian Institute of Science, he will tell you want and to go out of the Calcutta. Like that, he was forced to go out of the Calcutta, and where what he thought as the home. And this is the during the what Nobel Prize, what is gain. This getting Nobel Prize in he thought that it will come in 1929, but in that time it go to some other person, and then you book the ship on the February, March itself, so that you can go to the December for the 1930 Nobel Prize session, where Nobel Prize will announce in the September or October and give it in November or December, like that. But 1 year itself, earlier itself, he booked this and saw the Union Jack, he will get feeling. And Raman is very curious person. He always, every people always want to surround him. Like while serving the alcohol, he will tell that you have seen the effect of Raman on alcohol, but don't try to see the effect of alcohol on Raman. That was the interesting personality of him. Everyone likes the personality him. Like there was the enemies also, like Meghnath Saha and Sham Prasad Mukherjee will give severe trouble to him, make him to leave. And they come to Indian Institute of Science also. Indian Institute of Science, by the time they produce only 34 papers, 35 papers per year. There was no scientific contribution properly till then. And Raman charged up this Indian Institute of Science. And some people who are without working, they are getting the salary of 4,000 pounds. And all those persons, and they brought in the several high level equipments from the foreign for the millions of rupees, thousands of rupees, which can be made by the simple amount, very small amount in India. So that's what he trusts. Therefore, if you want to have experiment, make your own equipment. That's what he says. But the surrounding enemy population work in such a way, they will take every day they will take a complaint against him, and they will fed up with this particular case. In spite of that, he work in a great concentration. The Max Born, he bring the Max Born to the India, and have give the place for him, work in our laboratory, and we can learn from you. That's what he will say. And he will have another great contribution if you combine the light with the sound, you can transmit the information. This is an optic fiber technology. He was the father of optic fiber technology also, which was going important in 1970. Therefore, if our country was been proper, valued him without troubling him, this Raman and North effect, which was called in 1935, would have been another Nobel Prize work, which have been nowhere in the world one person has got two Nobel Prize in his lifetime. It is the greatest work or Nobel Prize work, which in spite of being such a trouble, which is pulling the legs, and he threw him away from the directorship of this Indian Institute of Science. And even though it's all students which have been troubled in various departments, various other places, you give the place for him, and he will make the Homi Jahangir Baba and the even Vikram Sarabhai to stay in India and work for the India. He always opposed the brain drain. And this, if they are present in India and given contribution to India, means that is because of C.V. Raman. But he was not able to sustain his own brother's son itself, which he got Nobel Prize in 1980s after working in England. But he always opposed us going to foreign and have the education or live there. And he was worked on diamonds also, and he worked on the colors of the insect and diamond lattices and the physiology of vision. And he was such the Mysore Maharaja gift this particular with 64 diamonds. He removed the diamond and used it for the experiments, and that was the science is great for him than the money or the diamonds. And you'll very big monograph of the physiology of how the vision was there. Vision was how the eyes of human eyes seeing the vision, colors and everything. And during this life, you get very frustrated, and you'll die in the very frustrating mind itself, because the country what he thought, the Nehru has not been taken up like this. Indian science has been fall down like into the dead bodies like Shantis or Bhatnagar. What they made the laboratories from the foreign, they taken the equipments from the outside, imported from the foreign countries. That's like a burial ground, what he said. And Indian science has been got whatever the extent it has been gone. Before vigor which was there before independence, that vigor was not seen today. And for that is called the Nehru and Nehruvian subordinates and Nehruvian ideology. And he never take it in mind what Raman says itself. In spite of having given very good relationship, the Nehru make him a national professor, and lifetime fellowship, you'll get a lifetime salary. But what is the contribution that you have to make? That has not been made. That was the point of this Raman. And we can have the, and for that Mysore Maharaja to have the some solution, will give the land for which the Raman Institute has been established, where he in later part he carried his work. And this Raman has some philosophy. This is it. Raman has a severe problem. He is not born with a golden spoon. His elder son will become a, he will not complete education. They will tell you will go for physics, and he'll come in middle itself, and he'll tell he'll go for law. In 1 year he come back. Then he'll got with the influence of the communist and become a converted to the Islam and die somewhere. And this is the problem of him. In spite of that, Raman has never been slowed down with his research, and that is the dedication that he wants India to be number one in science, and he wants India to be self-reliant in terms of science or basic science, and the today which is impacted on the industries which we can see today. We are expert in iron, but today this what we call is the high quality iron is used in these cars and vehicles. Okay, high strength steel is been imported. Not even single gram is been produced. Everything is imported. That is because of the bad principles has been adopted. That means the scientific or education gone in the wrong way. That was the case. And Raman has some principles which I have to trust at last. He wants the international scientific journal in the world, which is world standard. Everyone should want to publish his research in this particular, that type of journal he needed. But today we have produced that type of journal, we don't know. And establishing the coordination between different scientific institutions and having the better result for the result for the country and the betterment of the country. He opposes the brain drain. Even his own brother's son also he opposed. You should not go. It is very, very bad. Whatever the Nobel Prize will take is waste for India. That's what he says. And opposes scientific modeling of this Shanti Swarup, the first advisor, scientific advisor. He opposes him because he tells he destroys the scientific future of the India, and opposes importing of the scientific instrument. And the membership in scientific instrument should not be given. If you give money, should not give the membership, because you know the problems what made by the Meghana Saha and the Sham Prasad Mukherjee, which made them, instead of the trouble was not been given by them, we have been another. You want to work on nuclear physics also, which he given the problem given to the Homi Jahangir Baba. You want to work on space, that is given for the another scientist. And this is the case, and we would have have a better result in India. Our scientific future would have, if gone into the hands of Raman, our scientific future would have been completely different. At least we should make, at least now, at least we have honored him by making the Scientific Discovery Day as the National Science Day, so that it become inspiration for the future. And we should not trouble the scientist or the professor like this, who are really working. Okay, my today's education taught teachers and professors as the clerks. Clerk can become any person, but teachers and professor will become only the real person who is interested in research, who are interested in the education, interested in giving education. Thank you. Now,
Santosh?
sir.
Our Santosh GB. Open for
Answer.
questions, bola.
Questions to
So,
answer.
please. Yes.
Please.
Sir, hats off to you, sir. A
Thank
very,
you.
very elaborated information. It was like listening again and again, like that it was, sir. Thank you very
Yes,
much
sir.
and congratulations, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Any questions?
Please, I have questions.
Any questions?
Sir, namaste.
Namaste, sir.
Yes.
Namaste.
ಸರ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಏನೋ ಒಂಥರ ಎಕ್ಸೈಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಏನೋ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಾತುಗಳನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾಗ ರೋಮಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಎದ್ದು ನಿಲ್ಲುವಂತ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ನೀವು ತುಂಬಾ ಬುದ್ಧಿವಂತರು, ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ ಸರ್. ನಂದೊಂದು ಸಬ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಥವಾ ಸಜೆಷನ್ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಇಷ್ಟು ವಿಷಯನ ಒಂದೇ ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡೋಂತ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನದಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ವಿಚಾರವನ್ನ ನಮ್ಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸುವಾಗ, ಇದು ನನ್ನ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ವಿಚಾರವನ್ನ ತಿಳಿಸುವಾಗ ಅದು ಲೀಕ್ ಆಗುವಂತ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೈಕಲಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ನೆನಪುಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ಬಹುದು ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇದೇ ವಿಚಾರಗಳನ್ನ 2 ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾದಂತ ನೆನಪು ನಮ್ಗೆ.
ರಾಮಂದನೆ 2 ದಿನದಿಂದ 3 ದಿನ 1.5 ಗಂಟೆ ಮಾತಾಡಬಹುದು. ಅಂಡ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಅದು ಇನ್ನೂ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಟಾಪಿಕ್. ಬಟ್ ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ 2 ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು.
ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಾತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ತುಂಬಾ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. ಆ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎಳೆಯಾಗಿ ಬಿಟ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೂ. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಓಕೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Thank you, sir. Any other question in chat box?
Okay. ಬೇರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಸಮಯ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸಖತ್ ಸಮಯ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಪುರಂದರ್ ಸರ್.
Yes, sir. So I think the talk delivered by you is so impressive and so elaborate. That's the reason why no one is going to question you regarding the Indian ancient science and also the developments made by RAMAN, C.V. RAMAN. So anyway, Dr. Santosh, everyone actually got pleased. Especially my heart is for your painstaking work, I should say, because every collection you have made, nobody would have collected this much of information in the time, in their lifetime, I will say. So thanks and hats off to your hard work. And also I thank once again on behalf of MSF and also all the listeners. And thank you, Santosh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Santosh. Really, it is a wonderful talk. Bada ಖುಷಿ ಆಯ್ತು. Again, as usual, every year it's a ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ್ ರಾಮಾನುಜನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಅದ್ಭುತವಾದ ಟಾಕ್. Thank you.
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Bye, sir.